What's up, party people? Jason loves it when I say that. Welcome to the Dual Threat Show. If you've been with us for a while, you know how this goes. We jump on here and have a conversation with each other to help sharpen each other and grow our two businesses. But we love to share that with you guys, our friends, our quote listeners, audience, whatever. If it's of value to you, that makes it more worthwhile for us to do this as well. So we're going to do it either way, but we hope you're tuning in and you get some value out of it also. If ever you have a suggestion on a topic or a question, you can always drop a comment wherever you found this. We would love for you to subscribe and download on iTunes or any legitimate podcast deal, but you can also find us on YouTube or social media. We don't really care. We're not in it for the likes and the downloads, but we are in it to have some impact on your life and business. Of course, if you ever want to refer something to us, Jason's in the Nanaimo, British Columbia, Vancouver Island area, and we're in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. But it's not about that. It's about helping each other and sharing some value. So what's up, Jason?
Hey, what's up, Todd? Excited to be on the call today. This is actually perfect. It's timely. We're going to talk about some of the questions that we've been getting. Actually, both of us have been getting a lot of these questions and probably having a lot of these conversations with our students recently too. So why don't you lead off with the topic here and we can have a quick rapid fire on it.
Yeah, Jason made a good point. We've both been getting a ton of questions just about annual planning, right? So literally on social media, several times lately, there's been a post where we've both been tagged or asked questions and we've jumped in. So we thought, let's kind of record it and share it with everybody. Yes, I've been going through annual planning with my team members and coaching clients since late October. And I know you and I have talked about it too. So on the one hand, early to mid January is a little bit late for this conversation. On the other hand, it's never too late for this conversation. So really, the topic for today is annual planning or quarterly planning. Sometimes those are the same thing. Typically in our business with my coaching clients or our team members, fourth quarter planning is really annual planning. I say first quarter planning is also annual planning. So I recommend that you evaluate your business model, your business plan every year. And I think that your annual production starts late November or December of the previous year. Therefore, I think you should start thinking about that planning late October or early November of each year. So doesn't matter. Let's say that right now is the first time you've really thought about doing this in any formal way, whatever. My recommendation is you calculate your year February 1 to February 1 or Valentine's to Valentine's. It doesn't matter. The calendar is just a tool. A lot of our coaching clients get really fixated on comparing with other people. So I tell them you should start on a random date and your year should be, March 3rd to March 3rd or June 12th to June 12th, just because that way it's harder to compare. Play your own game, right? So those are some initial thoughts. That's our topic. Let's kick it to Jason and see what's on the tip of your tongue.
So a lot of people are wanting to set goals right now. So, they want to set a goal. So I'm going to throw a goal at you, Todd, and then I want you to just give me a quick little brief. How would you actually take that goal? And then what would the steps you would take? So if an agent said to you, a student's like, I want to do 24 sales this year. I want to do 24 transactions.
Yep.
Break down your process of how you would help them achieve that. And then I'll give you my thoughts on how I would do that. Why don't we just make it simple that way? So my goal is I want to do 24 deals this year and they're all pumped up. And I'm like, I'm going to do 24 sales. That's great, but it doesn't mean a whole lot, does it?
Doesn't mean anything. And everyone tells you that if you write it down, you have a higher likelihood of achieving it, which I agree. But if all you do is write it down and you don't go do anything about it, that doesn't matter. So for the sake of time, obviously with a team member or a coaching client, we would spend a lot of time on this. But for the sake of time right now, we would say, okay, 24 transactions. How do you get a transaction done? So basically we would back this away saying total number of transactions requires how many clients signed. What's that conversion ratio? That requires how many client appointments that actually happen. What's the ratio of kept appointments? What's the ratio of that to set appointments? What's the ratio of set appointments to quality contacts, all the way back to contacts, to phone calls, to time prospecting or outbound calls made, text, emails, whatever. But basically you turn it into a numbers game, at least predominantly, and you take your goal, your result, and you identify some of the lagging indicators of that, and you work it back to some of the leading indicators of that. So an agent or a team member or a coaching client might say, I know I need to show up every day and make 61 phone calls, or I need to make 49 outbound attempts, or I need to respond to 23 inbound leads, whatever the math shakes out to. Obviously, my attitude is I would encourage them to then round up and account for some loss, some getting sick, some travel. Equally as important, before we do that, we need to know, how many weeks of the year do you want to work? How many days of the week? Do we have a 6-day-a-week prospecting schedule or a 5-day-a-week? When we say prospecting, is that all on the dialer to expireds and FSBOs, or is this all sphere of influence, or is it inbound radio leads or whatever? So there's a lot there, but the short kind of formulaic approach is to chunk that down, work it back so that every single day when that agent shows up at work, even if that's at home, they know what to do that day. A good, skillful agent who's willing to hustle should never have to ask themselves, what should I do today?
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah. So I like where you're going there. So here's my thought on it, just to be super quick for time's sake. So it's great that you have an end goal and then you work backwards like Todd talked about. What I would focus on would be the measurable activities that I can 100% influence, control, track, and measure. So if I can't influence it 100%, I can't measure it and control it and track it, then it's not something that I have any control over. So it wouldn't be in my plan. So I'd be focusing on the measurable activities. So I'll give you an example. I want to lose 20 pounds this year. That's my goal. So what I've created is a plan backwards. So I've got a Fitbit and I have a plan that I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day. And so I can track that because it says on my wrist, I can measure it, and it's something that I have control over and I can influence. The second thing is I've put it in my calendar, and I think this is something you agree with, in my calendar 3 days a week at 9 a.m. for an hour, I'm doing kickboxing classes. Again, that's something that I can measure, track, and influence. So just doing kickboxing 3 days a week, doing my Fitbit, making sure I get my 10,000 steps per day is going to help me do the right behaviors that over time, it's impossible for me to not start losing some weight. Now, the next step in my plan is once I've done this is on month 2, so I'm going to start really dialing my nutrition. What are the things that I'm eating? And I'm going to have a little bit more of a nutrition plan. And so I have control over that. I can track it and measure it. So I would treat your real estate goals the same way. So as an example, my plan might be that I want to have 5 proactive conversations per day to my sphere of influence and my network. That's something I can control, track, and measure. The second thing might be that I want to send 5 thoughtful items to 5 people in my sphere of influence, past clients, that day per week. That's something I can track, measure, and that's something I can do. I might want to join an activity. So maybe I join a sports team. I want to join a softball team so I can meet some new people, do something I'm passionate about, and have some exercise. That's something, again, that I could track and measure. I would focus on those things. I would write them down and I would track them. So, just like you, Todd, we have a tracker that we would have our students go and we would actually measure these things on a daily and weekly basis. And then we would talk about them on a weekly basis. And then I'd find somebody to hold me accountable. In my case, it's my wife. My wife is holding me accountable to making sure that I'm doing the things that I'm saying I'm going to do and I show up for it. I know if I do these activities that over time I will see results. It's impossible not to. I can't say for sure that I will do 24 deals if that was my goal, but I'm very confident that if I'm doing those proactive behaviors we just talked about, that I will get there. And that's the thing, like focus on what you can control, not what you can't. You can't control the outcome, but you can control the activities, which give you the highest probability of the outcome you want.
So
that's the full version.
Yeah. So to layer what Jason said over what I said, if you were doing it purely in a prospecting based approach, which by the way, you don't have to, but it's the most direct approach and the most commonly used approach in our business for successful agents, teams, brokerages, whatever. So the things that I would say you have the most control over are outbound dials or emails or handwritten notes, those kind of things. You don't have as much control over your appointment conversion rate. Now, you have a lot of control over that. So don't ever stop working on that, right? But the fact of the matter is there's another human being involved in that. So you want to know your conversion number, but that's not, you don't have as much control over that. So that doesn't deserve as much of your mental energy and your time and your effort. You don't have nearly as much control over your average transactional price. Now, when you think about marketing and targeting clients, those are worthy thoughts. But in the daily grind, you trust the process of the things you can control most. I can control the amount of time I spend on the phone. I can control outbound dials, outbound emails, handwritten notes, items of value that I've sent out, a lot of the things that Jason talked about. I can control whether I join a softball league of potential prospects in an area that I want to work in, and if I show up or not. I cannot control if someone picks up the phone. I want to track that because it's valuable to know, but I don't have as much control over that. So that's kind of a secondary data point. So I think we're synced up on this. The point that Jason brought up that I'm usually screaming from the mountaintop is you can set this goal, but if you don't put it into your calendar and then actually live and work out of a calendar, it's like writing a goal down. It's better than if you hadn't done that. But if you don't then do anything with it, it's not that much better, right? Yep. You've clarified your thought, but then you're not going to, out of sight is out of mind. Life's going to happen. You get sick, you get busy, you get excited about something, shiny object syndrome, all those things. So I think you got to prioritize it, and you got to put it in front of your face, and then you got to get accountability. So the last quick thing I would add, and then I'll kick it back to Jason, is I think the one layer you can add even to the accountability piece that Jason said is community. Getting around other people that want what you want, that are pursuing dreams like you are in a similar fashion. That might be a coaching group. That might be on a team. That might be in your brokerage office. That might be 3 or 4 other people on other sides of the world in different businesses that have sales goals or that have production goals or weight loss goals or spiritual, whatever. But having regular conversations that would include you feeling bad if you don't show up well, or you feeling excited to celebrate with people that would understand it, are really, really healthy.
Yep. No, I agree. One thing here, and I got to run and drive my wife to the airport, but an important thing that you can do as well, and I think you touched on this, is get yourself a whiteboard, put it in your office, have your goals written down on that whiteboard, but then have your measurable activities tracked on that board so it's in your face, you can see it. And so when you wake up with purpose every day, that's what you focus on. That's the stuff that you need to accomplish that day. And that's the stuff you can fully control. It'll give you confidence. It'll take away a lot of the business anxiety that a lot of people have by knowing that you can control those items. And I get a tremendous amount of confidence when I feel like I'm getting a little bit anxious because I'm focused too big on the end result. I go back to what I can control. And I go back to my measurable activities, and it gives me confidence. It gives me strength, and I get momentum. Momentum happens in small little increments. It doesn't happen by just always talking about your big picture.
Right.
I'm a big picture guy, but I understand that's the measurable activities that get me there. So, yeah, and if you can't track it, influence, or measure it, guys, it's not something that's going to get you what you want. So I got to leave on that note. Todd, I'm going to let you finish this part off. Cool. Have an amazing weekend, and I hope you guys found value. If you guys have any questions about anything real estate related, Todd and I are always here to give. I believe in the Go-Giver philosophy. If you haven't read the book, please do. That's who I am. That's what I'm about. So I'm always happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So take care, Todd.
Awesome, buddy. Just to wrap things up here real quick, 2 final thoughts, basically. Number 1 is you should never show up as a real estate agent, broker, team leader at work or on work on purpose and not know what to do that day. Having clear goals and mapping it out is going to allow you to know, what do I do today? And just trust the system and do it. Number 2, the plan is almost never the problem. It's executing on the plan consistently, right? A lot of plans will work out, but a lot of times people don't actually act out on the plan. They don't follow through on the plan. They say it's a 5-day-a-week deal and they end up prospecting 2 days a week. They say they're going to join 3 organizations and they join 1 or none. They say they're going to join the organization and they join and then they don't show up. It's follow through and consistency. So that's kind of what we're talking about, is having a plan so you know what to do every day. Hey, what's up? And then it's following through.
He has to drive me to a flight, and I'm going to.
Yes. Get out of here, Simard. Take your wife to the flight. Quit hanging out with us.
Will it screw up the call?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Have a great one, man.
All right, folks, if you got referrals in Nanaimo, Canada, they go to Jason. If you're looking for coaching, consulting, reach out to both of us. We're in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Love you. We'll talk to you on the next one. Over and out.
Thanks, Paul.